Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Angry Cast and Fallout Shelter 2023. How y'all doing? If everything looks a little bit sped up, that's not your brain, that's the video. I've got about 20 minutes to go through some things that we're doing here. Again, I said I was going to be off, but I wanted to get something out there. And what I am doing is an entire overhaul of the entire vault. We are reorganizing everything because now we have, we're towards the end game. And I am actually building out these elevators all along the bottom to, like I said, reorganize the entire vault, separate things by purpose. And this will keep us from having any mole rats attacking in rooms that are not going to be populated. I took this idea, I got this from, I did search on best layouts of vaults, and I sort of cobbled together things. Now, I mean, I know I have said, I've been pounding it since day one, how I try to do things. I have a row of the top of the the vault entrance, and then I have two resident rooms where people stand in there and just wait for things to come through, and I run them through and then run them back, and then go down to the next level. We're going to be changing that, as well as a lot of other things. We're going to put this bottom row in to, like I said, prevent there, and I'm having trouble doing this. I can't see where I'm doing. Like, come on, get this damn thing out of the way. So I finally think, there we go. There we got it. This row of elevators at the bottom, which is expensive and not practical, but it does serve a purpose. It will prevent us from having mole rats seep in because of the rooms are touching rock. If they're not touching rock, then you won't get mole rats. Now we'll have to fill in some of the gaps as we go along, but for now, I just want to get the basic layout. And as you can see, I started out with my 999,999 caps, and you're going to be amazed at what this actually cost me. Now, should it have cost me this much? Probably not. I probably made some mistakes, but you have to understand that what I'm trying to achieve here is going to drastically change what the vault's going to look like, including placement of elevators. And as you can see, I'm placing these elevators along the middle here. Again, we are separating rooms by purpose. As I get to a point where I can fill in the gaps above and below where these elevators sit, then we can start to get rid of them and fill in some more gaps. But we can only get to 200 dwellers, and we can only have so many residential rooms for that, and that's going to all be at the bottom with storage. So I'm just clearing out these old elevators and making sure I can get a space to work that can be connected, because once you start to have elevators shifting around, if you have rooms that they can't get to, they're not going to let you do it. So that's why I have a lot of problems with this design, is because I had to totally destroy entire areas just to rebuild it in order to replace elevators where I needed them to go. So now we have the bottom row, we're putting in all of the living quarters. Now again, I can only have up to 200 dwellers, which means I can only have so many living quarters, and I'm going to end up to a point where I have this sort of mishmash of a single block and a two block next to each other, and it's only because I need to get the top level. We're going to do that much later in the video. But yeah, we're going to try to I can't destroy things because I've got people in them. So we're going to just temporarily move Mr. Handies down here. Now again, I have more Mr. Handies than I do places to put them. And the reason I'm saying that is because there is actually a quest out there that I can go do that's going to have another Mr. Handy given to us, and we'll do that next time. But as you can see here, this area in the middle here was all my training levels, and they're going to stay there, but I want to get rid of the residence quarters, or the living quarters. I want to get rid of the storage areas. I want to put them all at the bottom. And the reason why we're doing this is because these rooms are going to have nobody in them. They're not going to have anybody in them, and that means that we can just let them go. We don't even have to have Mr. Handy's down here. We'll just have storage and residence at the below, and if something breaks out, it can just work its way. Now, I don't think fire will cross elevators north to south. It will cross left to right. So if I have a gap in between where elevators are, then I think that can prevent that from happening. That's going to be a test later on. But what I am going to do is leave a space here and above this rock, so that anything that happens down here doesn't spread anywhere else. So that we're going to end up having these two elevators at the top. Just because I want to be able to get around things much quicker. In case we have to move things around, we can get people around much quicker. They can go left to right instead of having to go north to south all the way up to the top and come back down around the back. So there we go. We got plenty of storage now that when we get done with all this, We shouldn't ever have to worry about storage, but getting there is half the battle. So let's get rid of all that storage that's there. And now again, the ones we had before, you could saw. Let's see here. Our production 512 and our consumption is 123. Now the reason I say I'm looking at production and consumption is because typically my original basis for how I did vaults, and actually somebody came into the comments of one video and challenged me a little bit on that, but the whole point was that every layout I've ever had in a vault was always in the middle column, there was always a power room every third level. And that allowed for 8 rooms around the outside of that center power room to be touching it in order to get power all the time. And then you go one below that, and then you start the next grouping. So it's like a 9-block sequence. The first 9, you have a power room in I guess you could call it the 5th or the middle position, and then you do another block of 9, and you just repeat that. And that means that all of the power rooms are touching a room that needs power on all sides. And somebody said, well, you don't need to do that. And I think, well, yeah, you kind of. Early game, you sort of want to be able to make sure that you have power to your resource rooms. You want to make sure that the only rooms that go dark are rooms that you're not using. That includes storage. That can be training. That can be residences. You don't need to have power up to those rooms, but you gotta have power to your water, to your food, in order to maintain resources so your vault dwellers stay healthy and they stay full and they stay kind of happy. And that helps increase your cap production, because the happier and more productive your vault dwellers are, the more caps you'll get. And that's, like I said, those are early game concepts. Now we're at the end of the game and I can sit there and say, yeah, let's change it all. Let's make it all different. So I'm going to go with a different approach, still keeping my resource rooms at the top, but having the power rooms in a middle, the 3 or the 4, 5, and 6 position on a block of 9, and then still have resource rooms touching them. And then as we get into other rooms, I'm not caring about them. Training is a temporary situation. Training will be people that need to go. The radio room, that keeps dwellers happy, and that allows them to call out to other dwellers, but it also attracts death claws, so we got to be careful in how we do that. And if they run out of power and they go dark, the only thing I'm sacrificing is somewhat of a happiness quotient. So alright, we got to get, and I added in, and just to make this middle section work, which this middle section is going to be all of our training rooms. So I'm going to go left to right as a course, the S, the P, then below that the E, the C, then below that the I, the A, and then put the 2 L's top to bottom as a 2 block. So all the other ones, S, P, E, C, I, and A, are going to be 3 blocks, but the L's are going to be 2 blocks with a double decker, and that'll sort of help alleviate some of the congestion and bottleneck as we push people through. Also, we're going to put our training rooms in this middle section. We're going to put our overseer office. We're going to put our any crafting rooms, as you can see in that bottom row above the elevator, the double-decker elevators. That's where our outfit workshop goes. That's where our radio room goes. That's where our theme workshop goes. That's where our outfit and weapon crafting. And here we go, our first test to show you. Look, there's mole rats breaking out everywhere, and because there's nobody down there, they escalate much faster. Now, of course, again, this video is sped up to twice the speed of normal, but they really did spread pretty quickly. It was a small room. There's nobody down there. I'm advanced in the game, so I'm going to get a lot of them, but no harm, no foul. Nothing happened. Nobody died. I maybe lost a little bit of power. They suck up some resources, but again, wasn't that big of a deal. Now, I got to move these people out of the way, so I'm going to just get them temporarily moved to another room. This is where I'm spending a lot of my caps, relocating dwellers, and I'm not going to spend time upgrading those temporary rooms because that costs more, and I can afford to lose some power production while I do all this. I'm not in any way, shape, or form going to suffer that much. As we can saw, our production was still 5 times what our consumption was. So I just want to get all these rooms set up, and I will upgrade them all, make sure they get that. And like I said, that sucks up caps. And as you get into this, if you plan on doing this method of reorganization, understand something, that the elevators are going to start costing you a shit ton of money once you start adding a lot of them. It's just sort of like an incremental increase to the cost of them. So all right, we got our our game room, and we're going to update that to the arcade or whatever it's called, and then we're going to make sure we have all of our. Okay, we got to move this storage room. We're going to get these people. We're going to just temporarily move them to another one. Now, that's the other thing. I had been taking a lot of my dwellers who had reached level 50, had maxed out of everything, and sort of like retired them, quote unquote, into storage rooms. That's going to change as well. I don't need to do that because storage rooms, and the only reason I did that was because I had storage rooms that were touching other rooms, and if anything breaks out there, fire or rad scorpions or mole rats, I needed to have people there to fight it, otherwise it would spread to other rooms and cause more trouble. Now that I'm relocating all of the storage rooms down to the bottom, I don't need to have people in them because they can all just sit down there and do absolutely nothing. Don't need to worry about power, don't need to worry about coverage. They are on their own and they're not causing us any problems. So I can not have them populated, they can be down at the bottom, and I can then use the dwellers that are there, and even though they're maxed out at everything, they're going to be useful because they're going to be my crafting people, they're going to be my people who go out on quests, they're going to cover all that. Now again, I'm only placing these rooms in the center area because I know I need to fill up the block in order to keep mole rats from breaking in in between the elevators. I don't want anything touching rock, and we're going to have to fill, like I said, fill these in as we go along. That's a given. However, for now, I'm going to just like slap some stuff in there. The theme room, we really don't need the theme room because we've already built all the themes. The barbershop, never used the barbershop. However, it takes up a spot. Yes, it takes up resources, but it takes up a spot, and it lets you put a dweller in there. So if you have a place you need to put somebody, you can throw them in there. These are things, and like I said, you never have to worry about the overseer's office ever getting attacked because nothing ever breaks out in the overseer's office because nobody can go into that room. So now that I got these started to level it out a little bit more, I can start to push the dwellers that are down here in these med bays and the science centers up to the top because that's where all of our resource rooms, all of our production rooms are going to go. The top level is that's going to be focusing on is just our power, our water, our food, our stim packs, our radaways, our the Nuka-Cola bottling plant, which covers both. So those are the types of things we're working on here. This took a long time, and I made a few mistakes putting in these. I think I put the charisma room where I wanted the game room, and I had to undo it. And unfortunately, I think I had upgraded it to the 3rd level before I realized it. So, and as you can see now, we're about halfway there to where we want to be, and you can already see I've spent close to 311,000 caps already. We're really draining our resources, and I really suggest not doing this until you get to the point where caps don't matter. And I am I am actually tolerating Bottle and Cappy at this moment for the simple fact that they do produce Nuka-Cola quantums. They do produce caps when they come in. That's the only reason I'm doing it. And I'm suspending questing at this moment just for the simple fact that I want to do those things on camera, but the ones that can get me caps, I may send people out for like the game show gauntlet. And you don't get a lot of. See, now I get into a position where I got to start figuring out how to get these rooms situated because I can't destroy these elevators because that room has to touch an elevator on one side and be able to get to the other. And by getting rid of these 2 elevators, I can't. I have to undo this. I have to undo something. I have to figure this out. There's a reason why I can't put the elevator there. So what the heck do we got to do there? I think maybe we have to like just build this entirely out in order to put in another elevator in, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but it also allows me to get where I want to be. All right, we got that final elevator in. Now we can get this above ground. Now this top area. We're going to start. We had all of our. We're going to have to start using these training rooms that are not being used. These training rooms that are just sitting empty, they are going to eventually be way stations for dwellers who are in other rooms that have to go away. And when we get to the top, you're going to understand it because my elevator situation as I creep towards the top is going to get even worse because we are going to do things we've never done before, and that's put elevators all the way at the top on the right, forcing us to go through a gauntlet and then not turn around, but Death Claws can come back or go right down the next level. The fortunate thing for us, though, is we're at a point now, Death Claws don't make it past the next room. Death Claws do not have the ability to get to the second level. They barely make it into the middle room as it is now. I don't know if we're going to change that into a resource room. We're going to keep it a residence. I think I'm going to keep it a residence so I don't have to drag anybody to do anything down at the bottom of the vault. But now that we've got these these training rooms rebuilt, we can start to cycle everybody down to the new places and get them in. And we got to reorganize our Mr. Handies. We're now at 650,000 caps. We are sucking resources hard, man. This all probably took me a good 2 or 3 hours to put all together, and I probably cut out about half of that. So actually a little bit, about 2/3 of that. So I had about an hour left of footage. And speeding it up now takes it down to like 20, 25 minutes. But that's all in the fun. But I wanted to give this to you as a not a gift, I guess you could say, but something to watch while I'm off, and then so you don't come back and say, "What the heck happened?" One of the other comments early on from an episode, and this was from I think either early in the series or from a previous series. I ended one episode and I had like a crap ton of caps, and then the next episode it didn't look like anything changed, and I lost out on caps. Like they're like, "What happened to all those caps you had?" It took me a lot of time and to find what had happened, because on the surface, looking at these things, you may not see the differences, but as you can see, that power room above, it's not upgraded. It's just a nuclear power plant. The super reactor, which I accidentally took a picture of. The super reactor is the third level, the highest upgrade. I had gone through and I had upgraded all of the training rooms to their third level between episodes, and that's where all my caps went. And it took me forever to figure out, because I had to compare. I had to go back and watch the previous video and see if I had ever moused over those rooms to see if the name changed, or to just see what the layout of the room looked like, and then watch the other video to see how that worked, to see what I had done as a change. And that's where I realized that I had got all of the training rooms upgraded, and that's where all my caps went. Here you're seeing it happen in live, somewhat sped up live. But okay, all right, we have our storage rooms. We're going to get them all upgraded. We can get rid of this storage room, move this one down. All right, where are we at now? We are at the top. Look at all this mess. Look at all this mess. We've got to get people out of the way so we can make these elevators go over to the far left. However, we have to move the people in these rooms and destroy them. But again, I said there's going to be a problem when we get to that point, because we're going to have to reorg the first level in order to get us to a point where people can travel down. So, all right, let's see here. Let's start upgrading some of this stuff in Nuka-Cola. Let's build out. We need to put some people places. We want to have these things here. We're replacing all the rooms we had done down in the middle section. We're going to put everybody back here. You can see I'm dragging all of my Nuka-Cola plant dwellers up to the top one so we can get rid of this and then fill it in. And of course you can see that right next to it, that super reactor also has to go away. We're going to have to put another level in. As you can see, I have got, let's see here, I need to put another level in. I'm going to end up having to move this med bay and resource room. Again, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. Let's fill out these Nuka-Cola bottler and make them the entire, the plants, Nuka-Cola plants, and then we can drag some dwellers who are already wearing those E5 or somewhere around there, the equivalent of endurance. Drag them from the storage rooms. We're coming out of retirement and we're putting you to work in the Nuka-Cola plant since you're already dressed for the job that you want to have. And that kind of was a happy accident the way that worked, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them, and I have been finding it hard. Another mole rat attack. Let's get it. Well, crap. We've got a Mr. Handy stuck there. He's going to have to deal with it. So, oh well. Okay, now let's see here. Get the last of our people. Make sure we didn't leave anybody behind. Put them into the Nuka-Cola bottlers, and then we still have to build out a third one. It's only going to be a 2-block because of that end. But it'll still help get some of these other storage or depot dwellers to a higher level. So let's get the last row of Nuka-Cola bottlers in, and then I think I'm going to move going to relocate one room above the other just in order to make things work the way I want it to. That's what I mean. We're down to 400,000 caps. We are going to. I don't want to give away the ending, but you're going to be amazed at what I actually spent on this entire project. I'm going to be, and you're going to see that the new game is going to be, how do we get back to that point? How long is it going to take us to get back to this point? Chances are we're going to have to do a lot of work. All right, let's get all of our dwellers to where they need to be. I will reorg their costumes or their outfits at some point. I just need to get people bodies in rooms at this point. Let's get them there and let's get them working. That'll keep that. We can actually start to see a dip in our power production. We're actually low, and I think because we've added in more power plants, that we don't have people fully stocked into them, and they're not producing enough. So our capacity is greater than our production, but at least our production is still 4 times or 5 times the consumption. So yeah, as you can see, I moved this. I moved that for because I'm going to reorg this entire thing. You can see these elevators. I can't get rid of them because there's rooms connected. So I have to build out to the right to get them to where I can shift the ones on the left to the far right. You can see now they're finally gone, and I've reorganized, reallocated the elevators all the way to the left. So now I can go back through and organize the rooms where I want them to. And we're down to 300,000 caps. This is insane. This is a couple hours later. I've actually been playing this for so long today that the next round of oh, no, that's not what that is. Those are all the people from those rooms. I took everybody from those resource rooms at the top and I shoved them into empty training rooms because it would be easier for me to find them later on because they're all maxed out. All I got to do is look for the training room that has all of the E's and all of the P's and all of the I's, and then just move them up. And you can see our production is down to 400, but our consumption is still 100. So we're still 4 times better than we were doing. Again, I'm not too worried about these things, but I have to build these elevators just like that one, and it's going to take me a lot more money than I have. I think we're almost to the end here, and as you can see, now we are down to 772 caps. We have everything where we want it to be, and my gosh, we are done. We are done. We are done. Next stop, make it all better. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.